Alright. Alrighty, we are not doing any intro today. We're going to get straight into it. I know it's a bit earlier, but since I have time, I'm going to do it now. Welcome everyone to the show. I'm your host, Alex, and just like before, we have a lot to take care of. Not very much, though. It's been a very quiet week here in the college football world. Just only really one game that was really that meaningful in the long run. I mean, most of the teams that were interesting were simply cupcakes. The only three really real interesting ones were USC, Oregon, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt and Kentucky of all things. I did a whole recap and all that with the script. I did a scripted week 13 scripted. Go check that out. It's uploaded. But we had the show today, so we're not going to go over a lot. This is going to be a bit different because I don't really have any other stats other than just what you would expect out of this week. It was a very calm week. I mean, what do you expect? Charlotte to upset Georgia, Eastern, whatever, to just do. And, the only other the Western Kentucky, that was the only one that was surprising. So, not a lot. So, we're just going to go straight into the next section. But we're gonna go ahead and just recap the one game I did watch and one I thoroughly enjoyed, and not trying to be biased here because I like to not be biased on the show. But as an Oklahoma fan, let's just say I was quite happy with the performance by Brent Venables on Saturday. But that's a me or my. Also, real quick, I know I said I wouldn't talk about the NFL anymore on this channel, but the Cowboys and the Eagles just. Oh, you want to talk about a comeback for the ages? Think of South Carolina in the NFL. That's basically the Eagles on last night. Anyway, just on the phone, get to it. Oklahoma versus Missouri. So this was Missouri going on the road to Norman to face the Sooners in Norman, and the next game will be also in Norman. So they they don't have to go back home. They just go whoop with the bed, silk sheets on, and get ready for this upcoming Saturday. Because just like we know, rivalry week does not sleep for Thanksgiving. In fact, it's high end Thanksgiving. And a lot of teams will be high noon, including that Michigan game, which we will keep an eye on. Because Oklahoma knows you don't play until 2:30. Alright, so Oklahoma versus Missouri, the battle of the grits. These teams have played 98 times in their entire existence of program history. 98, let me that settle in. You're talking about two teams that have played each other longer than I have been alive, than my parents have been alive. So 91 years. You're talking all the way back to the beginning of the college football world, in my opinion. That started in the 1950s, so 91 years ago is not that long ago. And that was still when Oklahoma was in the Big 12 with Texas and Oklahoma State. Before Oklahoma and Texas jumped ship, leaving Oklahoma State behind to face the wrath of Ohio State and all the others. What do you expect? I mean, Oklahoma, number one defense in the country, in my opinion. I think they're the number one offense in the country. They can beat you in any way. They can just dominate on every point. And so this rivalry has sort of become known as the Battle of the Grits because these two teams they go hand in. I'm gonna put this down. They go hand together, like they glued together. They're the yin and the yang of each other. But in the end, nothing. It's been just Oklahoma throughout. Just like it's been Oklahoma in the last 4 times Alabama has played them. That beside the point, let's get to the game. So the Sooners had a decent game on decent time on offense, and you got to see some offensive power that maybe will get better in LSU because LSU sucks. And I think LSU is where John Mateer is going to show us why he was the front runner for the Heisman before Diego Pavia and Ty Simpson came in and took all the smoke away from him, all the glory and glamorous stuff from him. John Mateer was on 14 of 30 to the game. He was very good with the ball. He had I'd say he had 0 interceptions. He took care of the ball. It's just 14 of 30, a lot of those passes, double coverage, triple coverage. So it was mainly Missouri forcing those incompletions. Again, you're going to look at this and be like, how the f did Oklahoma win against Missouri? But I'll get to Missouri in a second. John Mateer was their leading rusher all game, going for 173 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns on his own. Well, 2 touchdowns. One was to Xavier Robinson. Like Xavier Robinson? Yeah. Robbins? I think his name is. I think it's Xavier Robinson. And then he ran in one for himself. So yeah, that's kind of what you want to see from John Mateer, but you want to see a bit more, and we'll see what happens in LSU. I think LSU is going to get cooked by Oklahoma. I think their defense will just come in and be like, time to wake up. Oh well, goodbye LSU, as they get their bye week because they don't play in the SEC championship. That's the benefit of not playing in the SEC championship, is you get that extra week to do some reps with John Mateer. QB, their rushing was 32 carries and 103 yards per carry, averaging over 3.2 yards, and their only long was 15. That's right. That's right. Neither team could get their run game going, so 2 defenses doing their job. The passing game was not much better, but it was better. There was only one 87-yard long, and that was Robinson, I think. Xavier, Satania the second, yeah. Isaiah Satania the second, who just got that one beautiful ball by John Mateer. Called those here in Oklahoma Sooner balls because they're just so explosive on offense and they can change a game. That was the longest. They're receiving 14 receiving yards, 173, averaging 2.4. Oh, and John Mateer had a QB rating of 67.6. Definitely one of his better QB ratings, especially compared to Alabama. And then they had 2 touchdowns again. Those 2 touchdowns came from John Mateer and Satania. The defense, man, talk about a defense who was just ready to rock and roll. The total time of possession was 90 minutes. That's right. They kept this game. They held the game for 90 minutes. I'm sorry, not 90 minutes. For at utmost. Is that right? Total. Is that TOT? No, I think that's pressure. Their pressure was 90. Their solo was 24. They had 4 sacks, which were the killer for Missouri. Pass defense was unbelievable, 5 of that, and then 0 touchdowns. And of course, there was no turnovers. And then Missouri, really, you could tell John Mateer was outmatched here. Bo Pereira, 20 for 36. Although they're almost the same, it's just one of them had a bit more completions than the other one did. 230 yards. Again, you're going to see most of these are just Oklahoma being behind the 6 and still winning. 231 yards to carry, average 6.2, 0 touchdowns, and then 2 interceptions, which gave him a QBR of 50.6. The rushing, 35, 70, 2.00, and then their long was 20. Missouri defense, 60 pressure, solo pressure was 24. Sacks 2, 0 TDs. And then receiving 20 yards, averaging 1.6. Their longest was 37. All around, just a typical Missouri-Oklahoma game. Alrighty, well, there's that done. There's your week 13. I did a whole video on. There was not much to go off of. We didn't have any. That's right. We only had 1 paper from that game. We had only 1 paper from week 13. That's how calm it was. Alright, hopefully everyone got that. But let's get to the real stuff. It is time for the Alex poll. But wait, before we do that, we got to talk about what to expect in Rivalry Week. It's Rivalry Week. What are you guys doing? We got to get to work. We got to get to work for Rivalry Week. All right. So, here it is. What to expect in Rivalry Week. You're going to have 5 storylines happening. The game, Ohio State, Michigan, A&M and Texas, Auburn and Alabama, Georgia and Mississippi State, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Those are the big storylines to watch. And then you have the other storylines, the ones that are not in the spotlight but still matter. You have LSU at Oklahoma. You have Pitt versus Miami. You have Navy. You have Tulane taking on North Texas, I believe. And so, do what you will with that. There's your what to, and we're gonna expect those storylines come out. We're gonna see. So the big story is Ohio State. If they can end the streak, I think they will. The other story is, can Alabama come back from that loss against Oklahoma and rebound by gaining the biggest win of their season in the Iron Bowl? And if they don't, they are out. That's right. So in terms of the playoffs, there's really 3 games that matter: Ohio State, Georgia and Georgia Tech, and Auburn and Alabama. And again, I think I don't want to break it all down because it's going to we're going to be here for like 2 hours. I could go on 800 hours of just breaking down what could happen. So to sum it all up, here's what happens for Georgia to make it to the playoffs. Beat Tech, and win the SEC championships, you get the 5 seed. Done. So you get the 4 seed. There's that. Done. For Alabama, win the Iron Bowl, you're in. Done. Ohio State, beat Michigan, and then whatever happens, you're in. You're done. That's as simple as it's going to get. All right, it's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So I will split this into 2 separate streams. The next stream will be on Monday. I'm doing a show tomorrow, but I won't be doing it on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, Thanksgiving and all that. Hope you guys also have a great Thanksgiving. That'll be awesome. Blessed for the year of the Lord 2025. So I won't be doing that for either Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then, of course, Saturday, Sunday, I don't do that. I don't do the show on Sundays. Sundays, football, the NFL, and college. And then, so next Monday, everything's going to go to 6:50. And I think that's where it's going to stick from now on. The new time will be 6:50 just because of school. Okay, so other than that, besides that, on Monday, keep an eye on this. Monday, I will talk all about rivalries. We'll get that spotlight. I wish all rivalries could be played against on Rivalry Saturday. That would be awesome. All rivalries played in Rivalry Week, but we can't have that. All right, the odds poll. We're going to have some movement. We're going to try to predict the committee tomorrow. The rankings come out tomorrow. We're going to try to predict it. I'm going to pull it up on screen as I read it off. So let me pull it up on screen. Here it is. I'll explain a lot of this in a moment. So, let's see. I'm going to read them off as they followed. So this is the playoff right now. We're going to get to that in a moment. We're going to go from 35 all the way to 13. So if I do that. But real quick, I do want to point out we have the division leaders as of right now. Texas A&M leads the SEC. Ohio State leads the Big Ten. Texas Tech is the Big 12. Virginia now leads the ACC after the Georgia Tech loss. And Navy leads the American Conference. And now that's the way you can get rid of you. We'll talk about chaos after Rivalry Week. All right, so I'm going to read them off. I got the paper right here. 2 papers and read it off. So you're 35. 35, you have Clemson. 34, Florida State. 33, Auburn. Wake Forest is 32. Louisville's 31. Missouri's 30. ECU's 29. Now you're entering your 28. You have Texas at 28. Cincinnati 27. James Madison 26. Tennessee 25. Utah's 24. USC is at 23. Pittsburgh's at 22. North Texas is at 21. USF is 20. SMU is 19. Michigan's at 18. 27 is Georgia Tech. Tulane is 16, Vanderbilt is 15, Miami's 14, and BYU is 13. So to explain those real quick, the reason I have USC, Pitt, North Texas, and all those lower than, say, BYU, I'm going off of chances to make the playoffs. So that's why you have BYU, Miami, Vanderbilt, and Tulane, and Georgia, and so in Michigan where they are. So do I need to explain what BYU needs to do? They went out against Texas Tech. They will. I don't know if it'll still get in. It'll depend. We'll go over it. We'll talk about all this in a minute. Let's just go over your playoffs because there's some probably going to be no movement tomorrow night. We'll see. We'll see what the committee thinks. Tomorrow will give us an insight what the committee will do after rivalry week. So here is your 1 through 12 in this order. Virginia, number 12. Navy is 11. Alabama's 10. Notre Dame's 9. Oklahoma's 8. 7's Oregon. Texas Tech is 6. Ole Miss is 5. Georgia's 4. Indiana's 3. A&M is 2. And do I need to say it anymore? Ohio State's 1. They're going to stay 1 until that Michigan game, so we'll see. By the way, their minus like 10.5 in that game, so I would take the under in that game. Just saying. So going back to the people that are not playing in the playoffs, I mean BYU, they win, they might be in Miami. I don't want to go. I'm going to make this I want to make this a quick little video because we still got a couple things else to talk about, and then I want to also get ready to go watch some of the other people on the college football world, and also watch Monday Night Football. So that's why I'm trying to make it quick. But just know that pending some anomaly style chaos this week, you're most likely not going to see BYU, Miami, Vanderbilt, Tulane, Georgia Tech, anyone else other than those Navy and Virginia getting for the conference representative, getting into the playoffs. So if everything goes according to the script, the way the committee hopes it goes, everyone will stay the same. It'll just be between those. It'll be just the conference games that will decide the order in the final rankings. So other than that, there's your the poll, and there it is on the screen right now for you visual learners out there like me. There is the playoff picture. Let's talk about it a bit. So the playoff prediction is what I think the committee is going to rank the top 10 teams in the nation, top 12 teams in the nation. And obviously, the only reason these two are here is because you have to have a group of 5 representatives that we know of. You have to have a representative group of 5 and ACC. So the tightrope of death, let's go over this because just make this short. Like I said with BYU, the only reason their tightrope of death is if they get their revenge against Texas Tech in the championship, which is now which is going to happen. It's going to be Texas Tech and BYU in the conference title game. BYU gets the revenge dagger against Texas Tech. It'll matter where everyone else finishes in the season because if you think about it, BYU would have both teams would have the head-to-head over each other. So the only way if I edit this real quick, the only way I see BYU moving into this bracket here, moving to where, say, Navy and these teams. Well, actually, there's really no other, for BYU, in order for you to get in, you need Notre Dame to be out. That is the only way you're getting in because unless the committee throws their rules out the system and says no ACC, no group of 5, which would then give 2 spots open, and then and I'm going to put them right here. No, they're not on here. That would give you and Vandy. Let me just. And that would just give you and Vanderbilt. So you and Vanderbilt would be able to sneak your way into the playoffs if the committee were to do that, which I don't think they will, but we'll see. But that's the only way I can see there, because you're not going to jump Oklahoma. Oklahoma finishes 10-2. You have these guys are locks. Alabama, if you're hoping Alabama loses to Auburn, then maybe you can sneak in at large. We'll see, but in order for BYU, the only thing you want is for Alabama to lose, Notre Dame to be jumped by Miami, and then you get that at-large spot pending some collapse in the ACC. And again, my voice is gone for some reason. I don't know why. So there's BYU, so we're just going to mark them out. We're just going to mark them out. They're done. You know what, we'll just highlight them and we'll just box them in. Next up, Alabama. Alabama, the only way you're getting in is if you beat Auburn. If you lose to Auburn, you're out. This is a win and you're in for Alabama. I don't think a 9-3 Alabama is getting in over a 10-2 BYU, over a 11-1 BYU. I just don't see it happening. Oregon, they're already in. I think they're a lock, but we'll see if they lose to Washington. The only way for Alabama and BYU to sneaking up, I mean, even if Alabama wins the Iron Bowl, if Vanderbilt wins against Tennessee, you're thinking about who has the better ranked win. Vanderbilt would be the better ranked win. Because if you remember in the rankings, Auburn is 33, and then Tennessee is 25. So Vandy would have the higher ranked win than Alabama beating Auburn. So I think Vandy would get the edge over Alabama, even though they don't have the head-to-head. So Alabama, the only path for you right now, beat Auburn, and then pray to God that Georgia wins the SEC championship and loses to Georgia Tech and doesn't get to play in the championship. Because if Georgia plays in the championship and you are 9-3, you're done. Even if the head-to-head would not trigger, because you still need an ACC 5 representative, even if they do it. Oregon, win against Washington and you're in the playoffs. You're already in the playoffs now. You lose to Washington, you're out. So I would recommend you win against Washington and you are locked in for the playoffs, even if you have to play in the Big Ten championship. And that's it. The tightrope of death. Remember, these are the teams whose seasons could be over if they don't carefully move the tightrope. Let me just go ahead and talk about these other teams. I'm going to just box you one of these in for a reason. You guys deserve your own separate video. I'm not going to make a video about it. Make sure you actually can see me a bit. Notre Dame, I mean, I don't see how the committee would. This might not change from here. Oh, so yeah, by the way, so Alabama would still be in. So Oregon would be right here. I'm gonna put an O and then Alabama. So O, Oregon, Alabama. Actually. There. That's where they would be at. And I don't have any reason to believe the committee would move. A&M would have the better win. I think Indiana, even though they're the better schedule, the better record, A&M has the better schedule. So I don't really see how any of this would change. The only thing that would probably change would be these two. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm going to keep my bet with A&M jumping Indiana. I think Texas Tech will jump Georgia. Georgia has a head-to-head over Ole Miss. Ole Miss has the overhead over it. And these all make sense right here. Look, these three all make sense. Funny enough. These all three make sense. Georgia has a head over Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a head-to-head over Oklahoma. And then Alabama would be behind it because Oklahoma has the head-to-head over Alabama. Again, that's why it was so important for Oklahoma to win that game. So, depending on what you will, take it what you will, it's face value. We'll see tomorrow. We'll see what the committee has tomorrow. Like I said, it's gonna be a very shorter show. I want to get stuff done, so I want to do it now. Make sure you guys can see me. Again, just a lot didn't happen this week. It was a quiet week all over across the landscape. If you exclude OU and Missouri and USC and Oregon, it was a pretty calm day. No upsets, and I'm glad. It saved me a bunch of work to do. But here's your Expo. Again, reminder, your top 25 is Tennessee, Utah, USF, Pittsburgh, North Texas, USF, SMU, Michigan, Georgia Tech, Tulane, Vanderbilt, Miami, BYU, Virginia, Navy, Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Oregon, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Georgia, Indiana, A&M, and Ohio State. Telling you right now. These teams, I'm going to do it this way. Here, I'm going to add some stuff here. If you heard me writing, I'm gonna take this webcam, and you guys are gonna go on a little tour. So, like you said here, you can see. I want you to look at these teams right here. Yeah. Take a look at these teams right here. Where's my pin? Alabama, Navy. So Navy, obviously, group of 5 representatives. This is the game. This is the team to keep an eye on this week. Alabama going to Auburn in the Iron Bowl. And then also I wanted to point out, keep an eye on BYU needs to pray. Keep an eye on these two teams this week, because if Miami loses, Vanderbilt wins. They jump Miami, and they could possibly jump into the top 10. And then the only realistically saying way these two could get in would be upset Georgia, beat Ohio State. And yeah, I just wanted to point out that there's still a lot of path for these teams. So I wouldn't count them out just yet, but the biggest game of the week will be Alabama and Michigan. So we'll keep an eye on those. Oh yeah, check that out. its inception. So yeah, sorry for the little flashing lights thing. There you go. That's a bit of a shorter show. That's what you get when you have to do it in the middle of this Thanksgiving week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Week 14 predictions. As always, I'm your host, Alex McKinney. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love all college football. We'll see you guys for Rivalry Week. Let's go. We're going to have some of the best football in planet Earth. And honestly, I'm here for it. Good night, everyone.